This Fulaim X5 wireless microphone system works really well, is versatile, has some very useful features, comes with 2 transmitters that can also record internally, and is affordable. I have a lot to say about it in this video, and I'm also going to explain why I think you shouldn't spend more on a 2.4 GHz wireless system like this. Let's talk about it. If you're new here, I'm Sebastian and welcome to the channel. 2.4 GHz wireless systems like this are very popular. Understandably so, because they're easy to use and very versatile. But they do have some downsides, which I'll get into later. First, let's take a look at the Fulaim X5. You're hearing it now, by the way. Thanks to Fulaim for sending this to me. They don't have any input on this video and I'll give you my honest opinion. The design is all plastic, as you'd expect, but it feels solid enough for a consumer device like this, and the transmitters are very small. So is the receiver actually. To be fair, this Fulaim X5 looks very much like the DJI wireless system and also has similar features. The transmitters and receiver have decent clips for clipping it onto clothing, and the receiver's clip fits nicely in the hot shoe of the camera. The transmitters also have a magnet on the clips, so you can magnetically attach it to your shirt, for example. This is a nice feature that all of these systems should have, in my opinion. There's a USB-C port for charging and file transfer, and they have a 3.5mm jack input for an external microphone. The set comes with a solid charging case that can charge the set twice, which is really nice, and the case itself can be charged via USB-C. Battery life is very good. I tested it and got 7 hours and 7 minutes of continuous use on a single charge before the receiver ran out of power. The case also features UV disinfection, not that I can test that, but I'll take their word for it. Once you open the lid of the case, the transmitters and receiver pair automatically and you're good to go. Other accessories that come with this set are 2 wind covers that can be really securely attached by twisting to lock, and they work reasonably well. It comes with a TRS to TRS cable for connecting the receiver to the mic input of your camera, and with 2 adapters, one USB-C to USB-C adapter and one USB-C to Lightning adapter. So you can use this set with your phone or your tablet, or even connect it to the USB-C port of your computer. I tested it and it works like it should. Very useful for things like Zoom calls. All the accessories are of decent quality as well. The receiver has a nice screen that tells you the mode it's in, the level of gain, and also if a transmitter is recording. The screen is a bit dim in bright sunlight, but still visible. It has a headphone port and a USB-C port for charging whenever you're not using the case to charge it. You can change settings with the set button on the side. Pressing it once adjusts the gain by 1 bar, and holding it changes the mode it's in. Speaking of modes, it has 3. If it's set to stereo mode, one transmitter signal is sent to the left channel and the other to the right. That way you can have both mics recorded on separate tracks, which is a good thing if you want to have control over the individual channels yourself in post. The mono mode sends a mono mix of the 2 mics out to the camera. I would personally only use this mode if you're using only one of the transmitters. And then there's the mono S mode. The S means safety. In this mode, one channel has the gain level you have it set to, while the other channel will be lowered by 6 dB, making it a safety track. This is very useful if something is louder than expected during recording and clipped on the normal channel. There's a good chance that it isn't clipped then on the safety track. However, it doesn't record the track internally, so you'll only have it on the camera or recorder you're sending it to. Both transmitters can record internally. You long press the set button on the transmitter until the LED starts flashing red to start recording, and you can double check it on the receiver as well. They both have an internal storage of 4 GB, giving you about 9 hours of recording time, which I think is more than enough. However, if you exceed the recording time, it will start overwriting the storage. Internal recording in WAV format gives you 48 kHz but 16-bit audio, which is not the highest quality, but I'd rather have 16-bit audio than no audio at all. It's certainly good enough as a backup recording. It is a difference compared to the DJI mics though, as those can record 24-bit audio internally. Transferring the files is a breeze. No special software is needed. They just show up as a drive and you can just drag and drop the files. However, one thing I'm not too happy with is the metadata it's giving the files. I don't know about you, but I live in 2023 and I'd like the metadata to resemble that. And what about range? Well, it's actually pretty good. I tested it walking away from the camera with the transmitter on my chest, so it wasn't in line of sight of the receiver. I only got the first dropout at around 50 meters. 50, 51, 52. Which is beyond what I expected. And it even held up pretty well up to 80 meters. Then when I turned around at 80 meters, now I'm back in line of sight. So the transmitter was in line of sight of the receiver again. Transmission was perfect while walking back to the camera. 6, 7. I'd say that's more than you would generally need. It was also quite windy when I did that range test, and the included wind muffs do really well. 71, 72, 73, 74. Now let's talk about audio quality. I found the audio quality to be surprisingly good actually. The built-in mics sound very decent. A bit of low-end boost, I think. For my particular voice, that's not really necessary, but I always apply some EQ in post anyway, except for this video. Actually, let's put some EQ on it and see how that sounds. By the way, I got a comment the other day of someone saying,
"I can't listen to someone with such a beard."
Well, I can assure you that my beard doesn't have an impact on the audio. The self-noise is reasonably low. This, of course, also heavily depends on the preamps of whatever you're recording on, like the camera or the audio recorder you're using. But I think these mics perform really well. I'm recording this directly into my GH6 for the studio part, and for the outdoor parts it's basically irrelevant since there's already plenty of noise anyway. But they do also feature built-in noise reduction, which I'll turn on right now. It's a one-click thing. You click the set button once and there's noise reduction on. I'm personally not a big fan of that, as I would rather do that in post where I have more control over it. But in a pinch or for live streaming and Zoom calls, for example, it's great to have. You can turn it on, as I said, by just pressing the set button once. A second blue LED, I'll show you, will turn on to indicate that noise reduction is on. I'll turn it off again. The internal recordings, although 16-bit, are very clean. But if you listen closely or you apply a lot of EQ, you can hear the difference in audio quality, or fidelity rather, between 16 and 24-bit audio. For $149, I think you get really great bang for your buck. It's very convenient and versatile to use, audio quality is good, comes with all the accessories you need, and it's compact. It's basically a fully featured wireless kit for less than half the price of the DJI mics, and even less if you use my discount code. It's a really great option if you're looking for a wireless set with 2 transmitters. In fact, even if you only need a system with 1 transmitter, it's still a good option for this price. There's also something about the design that I don't really like. That's the LEDs on the front of the transmitters. It's not really specific to these Fulaim ones, because many of these wireless systems have this. But I don't want those flashing LEDs in my shots, or LEDs at all. I find them distracting. I'd rather have them on the side or maybe even on the back. For now, I just put a piece of tape over them, or I put them on like this, but that's only possible if you have some sort of pocket there. But what about my statement at the beginning of this video? Why shouldn't you pay more for a wireless set like this? For example, the $320 DJI system. Well, you don't really get anything more for that extra money. Maybe some extra features like 24-bit audio instead of 16-bit for the internal recording, or extra space for the accessories in the charging case. But even that, they've released a new version of the system with a slightly different case that fits the adapters. I don't have that version, but they released a new one. But other than that, it's still a 2.4 GHz system, which is exactly the point I want to make. The 2.4 GHz systems are not all that reliable in terms of transmission. Not because the product is low quality, which could of course also be the case, but because this frequency range is really busy with Wi-Fi, for example. So the chances of getting interference are relatively big, which is why when I need reliability, I'll use a Tentacle Track E. Not a wireless system, but a reliable 32-bit float recorder with timecode. Now, I'm not saying 2.4 GHz systems are completely unreliable or unusable. I think they're actually quite useful. All I'm saying is, if you're looking for such a wireless kit, don't spend too much on it, because the reliability doesn't really get any better. I think it would be different if it would be a set that has very clean preamps and 32-bit float internal recording, for example, possibly with timecode. Then I might consider spending a bit more on a system like this. But that's why, in my opinion, this Fulaim X5 strikes the right balance between price and quality for a 2.4 GHz wireless system. So what do you think? Is this Fulaim X5 something worth considering? If you have any questions, drop them in the comments, and don't forget to use my discount code if you want to pick this wireless kit up. There's a link in the description if you're interested. I hope this video was helpful. If so, please give it a like and subscribe to the channel and maybe hit that notification bell. And I hope to see you next time. Thanks for watching.